Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you have a good Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. We're on our Sunday. Hopefully everyone's good. Hope everyone's well. And welcome back to our match reaction. Of course, Liverpool have just beaten Brighton by 3-0. Of course, brilliant game for everyone, nearly for the Reds. Of course, look, today was pretty much we did think it would be a very competitive game with it being Brighton and of course both teams really wanting to advance in the FA Cup. And now, look, at the end of the day, Liverpool are now through to the fifth round of the FA Cup. We've managed to, again, get a good result against a Premier League opposition and look very decent, and again, that right side of Liverpool working very well with one another. Curtis Jones, Dom Szoboszlai, Mo Salah as well. I thought Mo had a really good game, considering, again, his season's been, up and down, isn't it, so far? But again, really good performance from him. And I've seen you lot already in the chat going on about it. There is a reason why Dom Szoboszlai should be in Liverpool's midfield and not at right back, because again, he is one of Liverpool's best players, if not our best player, in an overall capacity as well. But again, let me know how you lot are as well. Hello, Ryan. 3 minutes late. Wonder what you were up to after seeing that. Look, right, I will not confirm or deny who sent me that photograph, but you already know who it is. So I'm just going to leave it there. But no, look, at the end of the day, hey, look, if Liverpool keep winning games, right, I'll recreate that photo. Joking. Do not clip that. But how are we, chat? Can't any Brighton fan. Come on, yeah. Well, to be fair, I did expect a bit more of a fight from Brighton. But again, looking at their rotation, again, obviously they wasn't starting with Matoma. Obviously Minter wasn't starting either. Like, it was a very rotated front three for them, which, like, with them being, where are Brighton in the table? Are they mid-table at the minute? I think they're like around 10th or 11th in the league. I could be completely wrong here, but let me double check where Brighton are in the league. Brighton 14th. So, just fighting off relegation, because again, they're still in that conversation at the minute, especially if Spurs and that are being called into it. So maybe they might need to, focus totally on the league anyway. But nevertheless, it was a good performance from the Reds in an overall capacity. But evening Ollie as well, so evening Con. Mo and Maka look better. Curtis played well too. My man of the match is Kyrgyz. Yeah, Curtis. Curtis had a really good game. Right back, allowed Dom to push up a bit more up the pitch, wasn't it? For me, look, Curtis needs to be in the team more. I think certainly over the last couple of weeks, I think a lot of us have suggested that, maybe it should be Curtis in the double pivot alongside Ryan Gravenberch instead of McAllister, because I think Maka has been, I don't think he's been at his best this season, in my honest opinion. But I do think, again, Curtis Jones offers a variety of good performances everywhere around the pitch. Of course, at right back, it's a bit, iffy at times. But look, that's, obvious because, again, he's not a right back. He's better in midfield. We've seen that so far this season. But I think, yeah, Kyrgyz as well, he's up there for me in terms of having a great game. He's been consistent now for, pretty much all the season. And again, people keep on, and I've seen people even this week going on about how, oh, he's in like the team that, the flop of the, flop 11 then of the season. And for me, he's nowhere near it. I think week by week he's getting even better and better. Yes, Liverpool's performances or Liverpool's results haven't looked great throughout a long period of time, but his performances, we're now starting to see why Liverpool spent the money on him and why, us Liverpool supporters were very much, going on to being able to, see how good he could become and seeing why Liverpool ended up spending so much money on him is because, again, he's a really good fullback, great defensively, really good going forward. I just think when we do have wingers, or more importantly, when we do have a left-hand side that is, again, more capable with the ball, because, again, I don't think Cody Gakpo is any good in particular. Again, I don't really want to clown on him tonight because, again, Liverpool have won. But I think when Liverpool get a better quality left winger, then I think you'll start to see even more of him as well, because we've now established ourselves in possession. We've allowed ourselves to again bring the the double pivot or the left sided six a bit more deeper to allow Milos Kerkez to go more forward. And we've seen that again tonight. McAllister dropping a bit deeper, even Dom dropping a bit deeper as well, allowing Kerkez to bomb forward. And it works, and it works when, again, you've got the majority of the ball and you're on the counter. And for me, I think personally, he is the one you look at and go, he can thrive off the way you can play off the left if you have a better version on the left-hand side. But look, that's just my opinion. Anyway, but yeah, as Rice says, but I feel like that game tonight showed why Szoboszlai has to play in the midfield for using a right back. Yeah, 100%. He is by far Liverpool's best player this season in an overall capacity. I think we have been unlucky, haven't we? The fact we've had to play him at right back tonight was another example. I think you've already said in the comments about and then the next comment there, the run he made for his goal. You don't see the likes of Maka and Gravenberch make them runs in other games, or at least not enough anyway. Yeah, and that's exactly that, isn't it? He can run from deep. Again, he's great on the ball, off the ball. He's an absolute tank and a machine. And that's the thing, really. He is an all-round leader, in my opinion. I think we've been unfortunate that we've not seen enough, I don't think, of the midfield three of Gravenberch, him, and Florian Wirtz together. I think that is our best midfield three. Again, you could possibly turn around and say that, possibly we could add Curtis Jones to that. Again, I think it does depend on what opposition you're playing against. I think if it's a team that you're going to dominate and you're going to overly dominate, I do think at times you could potentially drop Ryan Gravenberch and have the double pivot of Curtis Jones and Dominic Szoboszlai. But again, that is if you're going to completely dominate the ball. If it's going to be back and forth, of course, you need Gravenberch in there to be more of a defensive six. But I just think and look at it, if you're going to completely dominate the ball, you want them three in your midfield to completely run the show. I think Dom playing deeper for me in midfield, he completely runs it. I think we've seen it earlier on in the season, didn't we? When, for example, against Frankfurt, where he completely run the midfield. And that, for me, was his best game and showing what he can do on the ball, really. But Flo and Dom, world class yet again. Absolutely, Ollie. I was impressed how we defended as a team. Yeah, no, we did. Ryan, if that's you in the group chat, I'm going to absolutely kill you. I did, obviously joking, of course. Fair play to Arne Slot. He trusted his squad today. Yeah, well, we went more at them, didn't we? We went, we went on the front foot. We tried to, at least try and press them high, and we did that quite early on. We didn't try and. For God's sake, Ryan. We didn't try and obviously try and sit back and hold in a mid block. We went from, and that was the more positive note around today. And again, that has been Liverpool's most positive note of the season. When you go at them and you go on to, go on the front foot and try and, man mark and try and press, 1v1. Again, that's Liverpool at their best. Again, we've seen Liverpool this season where we've just sat back, sat in this mid block, and it doesn't work. And all season long, we've been saying Liverpool need to press. You need to fight for the ball. You need to go on and try and win the ball back high. We do that, and we look 10 times better. We look 10 times better when the team is pushed right up, and that for me is where Liverpool are at their best, on the front foot. Counter pressing everyone, and that is how we play. That's the Liverpool way. And when we get back to that, and again, I hope with players coming back, that's what we do more often. As well. But the ball from Gakpo to Salah for Szoboszlai's goal was unbelievable, but he just doesn't do that enough for you as well. No, exactly. And that's the problem. Is the draw now, Ollie? I thought it was tomorrow, the FA Cup draw. Hang on a minute. Is it right now, the draw? But City v Mansfield next round as well. Yeah, chat, let me know if the draw is right now, because I did think it was tomorrow. Didn't think it was now. But again, if we know who Liverpool are going to get, then let me know in the chat. But, it's still, me talking about individual performances, I want to talk about Mo Salah. Because again, we said it's been a very tough season for Mo. Tonight was excellent. On the 1v1 on the right side, won the penalty, got the draw's Monday. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, on Mo Salah tonight, excellent. Like I said, 1v1, completely won that battle throughout the night, won the penalty, scored the penalty, which was great for Mo. I think now it's 6 goal involvements in the last 6 games, which, for a Finnish Mo Salah, it's not so bad, when you consider the amount of criticism that he has got this season. Of course, some of it, is right, because, again, Mo has been, not Mo. He's not been Mo Salah of old. But even still, a washed up Mohamed Salah is still creating chances and scoring chances. And, look, I know it's a penalty. And I know people will say, like, oh, he's scoring from a penalty. But still, people heavily criticize Mo Salah for not getting up to his numbers and not being able to, show the Mo Salah of old, that broke all the records. But still, when Mo Salah is at his worst, I think even this season, I think he's on 15 goal involvements now for the season. And considering people will say, like, oh, he's finished and he's washed up, well, he's still beaten, every other right wing player in the league at the minute. Apart from Semenyo, possibly. Again, even when we're talking about Semenyo, I think, Semenyo for me, I see more on the left than anything else. But still, it probably is only Semenyo that has got more, goal involvements than Mo Salah at the minute in all competitions in the Premier, for a Premier League player anyway. So when you do take that into consideration, again, he's still performing at a level where, he is now where everyone else is, and that's not the Mo Salah way. The Mo Salah way is breaking every record going as well. But look, it's a good performance. It's a great result. Of course, who do we want next? Obviously, I think, as Ollie said, Mansfield will be the one, really, to, have some sort of an easy tie going into the 5th round. Of course, there is some, weird, thing in me that wants a tough game, really, because again, we hope then that we could beat and knock out, another team that's, favourite for the FA Cup. But at the end of the day, I think any game at Anfield, I think it's fine. Away from home, again, it's a dodgy result all round, really. But look, I think the aim for Liverpool now this season, as Arne Slot has mentioned many times now, is to win the FA Cup, to win the Champions League, and finish inside the top 5. And obviously, we've been thrown a lifeline really in the league, where again we luckily get to play the likes of Man United and Chelsea and try and claw back in that aspect of things. But a successful season, would be all 3 of them. A fantastic season would be to win all 3 of the FA Cup, the Champions League, and finish inside the top 5. Of course, the main important thing is getting into the top 5 of the Premier League, and that's the main, important thing for next season. The Champions League would be my number one, to win, of course, and obviously you get to, get back into the Champions League in that sense. But for how hard that would be, considering Liverpool would have to have the luck of the draw, really, in terms of the draw. But if we can, make this season, memorable for some ways, because again, we've had seasons in the past where, again, people always go back to, when we nearly won the double under Kenny, with the FA Cup and League Cup, back in, 21-22, where we needed the quadruple, winning the FA Cup and the League Cup. That was a special season in itself. And of course, going on to the Champions League final and the the last day of the Premier League, that was a special moment as well. Of course, it was not the ending that we wanted for the season, but still, if we can make this season as good as possible, as it can possibly be, again, I'm all for that. But it's all about playing the Liverpool style of football. It's about being on the front foot, in your face, again, attacking in every way. And I think, again, tonight was a great performance, and it was a good performance from everyone, but I want that on a more consistent basis. We said this about so many games this season, and then we go on a couple of results where you go, where was the Brighton performance, a couple of weeks ago? That's where I don't want to happen again. Because again, we've got Forest now; they'll have a new manager bounce and all that as well. I want the same type of performance we've seen against Sunderland. We've seen now against Brighton. Again tonight. Again, we need consistency, and that's been the major problem for Liverpool this season. We've not had any. We've not had any consistency to follow up upon, and that's now needs to change. We need to take it more forward, of course. Because again, the City result, it was a kick in the teeth, but still, we hope now that's the last disappointing result of the season. You'd hope anyway, but look, we'll all have to, again, fingers crossed, and that was our last, bad performance of the season, or at least, the last 10 minutes of that game. We don't want that happening anymore this season, really. But look, next round, the FA Cup. Honestly, don't care who we got. Just make sure the game's at Anfield, and I think we'll beat anyone on our day, of course. But look, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Apologies, it isn't a longer match reaction. Again, I did say it'd only be 10 minutes, and I'm currently 70 minutes in. So hopefully you guys have a good rest of your evening anyway. Let me know your man of the matches down in the comments. I'm going to give my man of the match to Dom Szoboszlai. Again, he's been Liverpool's best player this season, but it could literally be anyone. It could be Mo, could be Dom, could be Curtis as well. I thought Curtis had a good game. Kirkes, it could be a number amount of people anyway. But look, we'll be back tomorrow anyway. We'll talk a bit more about the game, and get more your guys' thoughts and reactions as well down in the comments. And of course, Monday, we're gonna do a show talking about, of course, Mane from Wolves. There's been a bit of news around him and so on as well. So we'll talk a bit about that and get your guys' thoughts and reactions anyway. But until next time, guys, that's going to be it from me. I've been Connor from the Klopp Council. I'll see you guys in a bit. Ta-ra.